What's up, moviegoers? Welcome to the Marchio podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. In this episode of the Marchio podcast, I'm talking about Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake. It's directed by Marcus Nispel and stars Jared Padalecki, Danielle Panabaker, Aaron Yu, and Derek Mears as Jason Voorhees. Has a running time of 97 minutes. It was released on February 13th, 2009, had a budget of $19 million, and grossed $92 million at the box office. Now, the remake centers on and follows Clay Miller, played by Padalecki, as he searches for his missing sister Whitney, who is captured by Jason Voorhees. Now, Marcus Nispel, the director of this remake, also directed the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. So it was a really good idea to bring him in to direct this movie. Because let me just say that this character in this movie, that is Jason Voorhees, he's leaner, he's quicker, he kills like crazy, and he has some sort of backstory that makes you, the viewer feel sympathy for him. And it was conceived originally as an origin story, but the project evolved into reimagining of the first 4 Friday the 13th movies. So here's the thing. It's really good that they combined the first 4 movies into one movie. So Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 3 3D, and Friday the 13th, the final chapter, are all in this one movie. We see the growth of how Jason is in this movie and why he kidnapped Clay's sister. And the reason he kidnapped Clay's sister was because that Clay's sister looks like Jason's mother, Pamela. And it's that sympathy of feeling like, oh, I don't know, I don't have my mother anymore. You see in certain scenes that Jason feels sympathy for the sister, and we know why, and we find out why. The interesting thing about this movie is that Jason is a menacing character because Derek Mears is such an underrated actor and a stuntman. He's like 6'11", 7 feet tall, and this Jason Voorhees is that. And there's a scene where Jason is chasing someone out of a shed, and you see him running, and he just throws this axe, and all of a sudden, when I went to go see it, the audience I was with just started clapping because he actually started running. He wasn't this small, all of a sudden you're slowing down, you're walking, you're tripping over something, and all of a sudden he's there right in front of you. No, this was Jason. He was chasing you. This remake was done well, and the aspect I like about it is that there's a shot and scene where he is wearing a burlap sack, the potato sack from the, movie, original, Part 2 movie, and then he finds the hockey mask, and then he puts on the hockey mask, and the shot for shot look and the way the camera was working with the sound of the music was really, really good. And all of a sudden, Jason just starts killing people. The kills are great. There's an homage to the sleeping bag scene in the previous movies, which was fantastic. And it's done so well. Even though Marcus Nispel directed this movie and directed the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I can say that, Michael Bay produced it. And if Michael Bay directed this movie, it would not have been good at all. So basically, the producers decided that the Friday the 13th remake would not be an origin story. They said they wanted to work out a logical origin story for Jason that would provide a sense of history as the film progressed. They explained that the audience gets to see Jason attain his famous hockey mask and give him a reason why he puts it on. Jason would then transition from wearing a bag over his head similar to the one seen in Friday the 13th Part 2 to finding and wearing the mask in Part 3. He obtains the mask off screen and comes out of a barn already wearing it. Unlike the horror remakes of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Amityville Horror, which were also produced by Michael Bay, it was decided that Friday the 13th will not be a period piece. The film was not strictly a remake, so there was no reason they could not set the story in the 2000s, which was a good thing. If you set it as a period piece like you did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the Amityville Horror, it definitely would have had a different feel, because if you set this movie back in the 80s, it wouldn't have worked at all. Even though that 80s feel is always a good thing for movies and horror movies, it's good that they kept this movie updated and it worked really well. Now, stuntman and actor Derek Mears was hired to portray Jason Voorhees at the recommendation of special effects supervisor Scott Stoddard. Before the producers contacted him, Derek Mears actually already heard about the production of the new movie and decided to start training physically so he could pursue the role that he wanted. The studio worried that the demeanor and the pleasantness that might affect his ability to portray a menacing character, but Mears assured them that it was suitable for the role. According to Mears, he said in an interview, they were like, "You're really nice. Are you going to be able to switch over right away?" He was like, "I was like a cage fight, and I've gotten a lot of dad issues." So yeah, Mears said that he related to the Jason victim when he was growing up, and he wanted to portray Jason as a victim in the film. To Mears, Jason represents people who were bullied in high school, specifically those with physical deformities, for being outcasts. And Jason Voorhees is unusual because he exacts his revenge on those trying to take over his territory at Camp Crystal Lake. I love this movie for what it was, and it's very hard to say that there's a lot of good horror remakes. I praise the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake because it was a fantastic movie, and the great horror remake by Marcus Nispel, who directed that. And if Marcus Nispel directed that, and you see him direct this, you think Friday the 13th is going to be good of a remake. It's on par, ladies and gentlemen. I have to admit, it's on par with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake of 2003 is slightly better than this Friday the 13th remake of 2009, just by an inch, because of how the story is, and how the story is based off of certain characters, and how we feel sympathy for Jason in this one, while we feel no sympathy for Leatherface in the 2003 remake. The silhouettes, the way the camera was, the way the lighting was in this movie really worked, and certain aspects of it were very, very scary. There was a lot of scare factor in this movie, and it worked to a degree where if you watch this movie and you have no idea what the Friday the 13th movies are without even watching the ones from the 80s or 90s, you'll go into this with a very open mind. Now, if you've never seen the Friday the 13th movies or the franchise, and this is the first movie you've seen and it's a remake, and you don't know what's going on, it's good because this combines the first three and maybe somewhat of the fourth film into this one movie, and it's great. Not many horror movies do that, but this movie did that in 97 minutes. That's fantastic. All these elements into one movie really works, and it really worked with this one. So let me know in the comment section below, do you think Friday the 13th is a good horror remake? And is it on par? And is it on par with the 2003 remake of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also directed by Marcus Nispel? And do you think that Jason Voorhees being more so human in this movie was better than being a monster or a supernatural being in the earlier films? Let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked. So you might be asking yourself, Anthony, where do you rank the Friday the 13th movies? Well, here they are. Number 1, Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 2, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. Number 3, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Number 4, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Number 5, Friday the 13th. Number 6, Friday the 13th Part 2. Number 7, Friday the 13th Part 3. Number 8, Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake. Number 9, Freddy vs. Jason. Number 10, Jason X. And number 11, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. So there you have it, the Friday the 13th movie discussion. And let me know in the comment section below where you rank all of the Friday the 13th movies, including Freddy vs. Jason. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos and new podcast episodes on the Marchio Productions YouTube page. And follow Marchio Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And follow me, Anthony, your host, on Instagram and Twitter at misterfilmstock. And follow the Marchio Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You can check it out and follow along. Alright everyone, that does it for today's episode. I'm your host, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.
What the fuck?